Hello, everyone, and I am here to talk about the obvious news of Eric Kendricks getting a fairly large contract extension today, as he signed a 5-year, $50 million deal with $25 million of that guaranteed. So half of this is guaranteed. I imagine it's kind of front loaded to it, as sometimes you don't have defenses that last really long. So, but as of right now, Kendricks is a really good coverage linebacker, and he mans the middle of a defense that has never ranked lower than 13th in total defense, as because he's been a starter every year he's been in the league, and the lowest it's ever ranked was his rookie year at 13th. The other years were third and first, and he's always played with urgency and tenacity. And it's really good that he's actually re-signed because I feel like he's one of the key parts of this defense, even though he's kind of one of the unsung heroes. And the thing I think this is more of a conversation point with this is what this means for possibly keeping or what it means for the upcoming and pending free agents, that whole thing. And just because he's his teammate, just right next to him, like it's the little guy next to him is Anthony Barr. So Barr can be realistically extended for lower than the $12 million cap hit he carries right now due to the 5th-year option, but there is a chance he could be looking something similar to the Jamie Collins type of money at $12.5 million a year. I don't know if I would be willing to do that because of one name upcoming on this list, and if it turns into that and it becomes a choice between Kendricks and Barr, I'm glad they made the choice of Kendricks just because sometimes Barr he disappears at times. He doesn't always play motivated. Kendricks, that's usually not a problem. With Kendricks, you almost have to pull back on him with all of his aggressiveness. So I think they would rather have a player that you have to pull back on than a player you have to kind of like poke at. So if it if that was actually the thing where it's like, okay, is it Kendricks or Barr? I think that's why they went with Kendricks over Barr because there is a chance because they're very similar, like statistically at least. Barr is to Jamie Collins, and he got 12.5 a year. Because Barr has 10.5 sacks in his career, Collins has 13.5, and they're mostly just tackle machines. So they make big impact plays. I will say that, but they can disappear at times. So you're paying the 12.5 for a big impact play potentially. Wayne's, he's not the big name on the list I was worried about. But Wayne's, I think, will likely have the 5th-year option picked up, so this can be worried about next offseason as opposed to this one. And here's the big one that I am more concerned with, and that is Danielle Hunter. I think he's likely to be the most expensive one out of this entire group. He has 25.5 career sacks, and he's only 23 years old. He's improving in the run to game department, and this conversation probably starts around the Olivier Vernon money, which was 17 a year with $52.5 million guaranteed. And I know a lot of people are thinking, whoa, that's more than Griffin, and Griffin's probably better. That is true, but I think with this one, you're paying for the potential because he's only 23. Most rookies come out and they're around this age. He came out when he was 20. He hasn't even scratched the surface yet of what he could be. And you don't let that walk out the door because he has constant pressure. He has a lot of sacks, and Olivier Vernon, I believe, had less career sacks than Hunter has now when he got paid. So I imagine this starts around the Olivier Vernon money, which was 17 million a year with 52.5 million guaranteed. And that's where it becomes more of a thing like it might be more of a choice between Barr and Hunter than it was with Barr and Kendricks. And personally, I would prefer Hunter over Barr just because, once again, I feel like you kind of have to poke Barr to get him motivated. And although he is extremely talented and all those other things, he just sometimes needs to be pushed a little bit. So Hunter to me is like the key here. He's one of the key ones. And then there's Stephon Diggs. Diggs, he's probably the one I'd be willing to let really play on this year. Just because I think he can actually lose value as this next season is played. Because he's had an injury riddled career a little bit. Nothing major, but he's always been kind of with lingering things. He's missed games, he's played hurt, he hasn't always been at 100%. And so he's never had 1,000 yards. And with Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook coming back, taking up more of the targets, he's very likely not to have 1,000 yards again. So another thing, I don't think he's going to have 8 touchdowns next year. Once again, I think of Dalvin Cook coming back. I think we're going to run a little bit more there. So I don't know. It just feels like this year, if we sign him now, it's going to be a lot of money. But if we wait for next year, he won't have 8 touchdowns. He probably won't have 1,000 yards. He'll probably have another pulled groin, and then he's likely not coming off another miracle play in the playoffs that can really enhance the value of Stephon Diggs. So this one can be had for cheaper if you let him play out the season, but I think you do have to be willing to say we could tag one of these players. So that could be either Hunter, Barr, Diggs. It can be any one of them. You might be looking at the tag Hunter, as I believe the tag is below $17 million a year. I'm not sure by how much. I should have looked that up, but I didn't. And so that's what I was kind of thinking about right when I saw the entire, Kendricks got extended. It's like, oh, well, what does that mean for everyone else? So I'd like to know what everyone else thinks down in comments, and I'll see you till maybe they extend another. We don't know. We'll bid you adieu for now.